MMA started as a low-key sport, seen as simply too violent to be enjoyable by anyone. But over the years, the sport has gained popularity among the masses. It's still not as mainstream as it could be, but there's hope. In today's video, we'll look at the top 10 MMA fights that helped the sport get the popularity it has today. So keep watching. At number 10, we have Gilbert Melendez vs. Shinya Aoki. This legendary fight between the two current lightweight champions, Gilbert Melendez and Shinya Aoki, took place back in 2010 on 17th April at Strikeforce Nashville. It's one that's still remembered to this day by MMA fans. The fight had mixed reactions from people who watch the sport, but it got a lot of hype too. Some said the fight itself wasn't all that good, but Melendez's performance was the reason it was so fun to watch. Both fighters are from two different countries, Melendez from Strikeforce USA and Aoki from Dream Japan. Melendez dodged a bullet by surviving a really dangerous submission attempt from Aoki, but then the tables flipped completely when he dominated for the next 5 rounds. Melendez after this fight was quick to gain popularity as one of the best lightweight MMA fighters. Melendez won the fight through a unanimous decision, ultimately after dominating in 5 rounds. Coming up at number 9, we have Rich Franklin vs. Vanderlei Silva, an almost 5-hour-long fight that definitely left its impact on the MMA world. It took place almost 13 years from today, on September 8, 2009. People remember the iconic smashdown vividly, even today. This was a fight that was full of pressure, especially for Silva, since he was fighting in his native country, Brazil. And to add to that pressure for Silva, his opponent was Franklin, a fighter that Silva had previously beaten at UFC. Because of all this pressure, the game was exciting for the fans even before it started. Fans of Silva were concerned just as much as they were excited. Why? Well, they thought that Silva would yet again face another KO loss. Instead, Silva gave a performance that pleasantly surprised his fans and left us shocked. That was the first ever match that UFC held in Germany, and even though there weren't a lot of people in the audience, the fight got a ton of hype. At number 8, we have Gina Carano vs. Chris Cyborg Santos. Another match from 2009. We could say that year was just good for the MMA fans. Any sport is incomplete without women participating equally in it, and this match just proves to the world that they're no less than their male counterparts. This fight between the incredible Gina Carano and Chris Cyborg was the first time 2 women headlined a major MMA event. Not to mention that the event managed to get a good audience top, with over 13,976 tickets being sold. Not only that, but the show managed to get 576,000 viewers on the Showtime cable network when it was aired. This just goes to show how much hype the event got and how much good it did to MMA in terms of popularity. Santos won the fight in the first round of the match and has since defended her belt twice on the main card of those events. Number 7 on our list is Brock Lesnar vs. Shane Carwin. Okay, now this is one match you would not want to miss out on, but we think you'd already know of it if you're truly a fan of MMA. It was even called the biggest match in UFC history. Now that's a hell of a title. Not only that, but it was voted the best major show in the 2010 Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards. It was the first time a UFC show won that award. The match went down in the MGM Grand in Las Vegas. A good number of people showed up to the event too, which was pretty impressive. Lesnar ended up winning the fight over Carwin and retained his belt with a second-round submission. The fighters were awarded $75,000 each as bonuses. Next at number 6, let's look at Randy Couture vs. James Toney. You know for a fact that a fight is worth watching when it's being hyped up so much and hasn't even happened yet. It rarely happens, but when it does, it's worth it. The news of the fight has already done wonders for MMA as a sport in terms of pushing it further into mainstream media. And why wouldn't there be hype around it? It's 2 literal legends facing off in a match after all. James Toney, a champion boxer, and Randy Couture, a champion MMA legend and Hall of Famer. In an epic MMA battle is all fans of the sport need to be over cloud 9. With all that said, the match itself still has a lot of potential, and we'll know exactly how popular it gets once we see it go down between the 2 icons. At number 5, we have Georges St-Pierre vs. Matt Serra II. Yet another iconic fight between 2 legendary fighters. The fight was actually a rematch between the 2 that took place in Canada back on April 19, 2008. This was the main event fight for the welterweight championship. St-Pierre was defeated by Serra back at UFC 69, which earned him the UFC welterweight championship and cost St-Pierre his second loss in his career. This match holds the second highest attendance ever at 21,390, just behind UFC 97, also being held in Canada. St-Pierre started the match by going straight in for a takedown and took control for the entire first round with his power-packed punches. The second round started no differently, with St-Pierre landing Serra straight to the floor and dominating in good control. control. Sarah won the fight, which wasn't any surprise to those watching the game. Next, at number 4, let's talk about Brock Lesnar versus Mir II. The match lasted one round longer than their first fight, and it was definitely one to be remembered. In the second fight, Lesnar secured Mir's head in his left arm and hit it until Lesnar's face was nothing but blood. It was pretty gruesome, to be honest. It got to the point where Herb Dean had to step in and stop the fight. If you think the fight wasn't pretty, their post-fight confrontation wasn't anything pleasant either. Lesnar defeated Mir in the second round TKO. Just as Mir was being helped stand up again, Lesnar walked up to him and yelled, "Talk all you want now." A gag-worthy moment, to be honest. After all, Lesnar is quite famous for his post-fight confrontations and has the reputation of a bad boy. UFC 100 marks the largest PPV numbers, 1,600,000, and the whole event was mostly dominated and headlined by this fight between the two. At number 3, we have Roger Huerta and Leonard Garcia. This was a classic battle between two heated fighters who simply don't know how to back out, so you know it was just a treat to watch. The fight lasted for 3 rounds and got so much popularity that Sports Illustrated picked a photo from the fight for a cover shoot. Huerta secured the winning spot by unanimous decision. With his picture from the fight being featured on the cover of Sports Illustrated, he became the first MMA fighter to ever grace the cover. With this cover, the sport really got a good push into mainstream media, one that was long due. Coming in at number 2, we have Chuck Liddell versus Tito Ortiz II, one of the oldest fights on our list, but definitely not less than any other match we've seen in this video so far. The fight was very similar to their first meeting, according to fans. It took place almost 16 years back on December 30th, 2006, at the MGM Grand Garden Arena in Las Vegas, Nevada. Liddell ended up winning the match via TKO, and not to anyone's surprise. Fans were already kind of expecting him to win once again. The match got a lot of hype and ended up getting the sport a ton of popularity. This event was UFC's first show at MGM Grand Arena since UFC 56, and to MMA fans' delight, the arena was nearly sold out. Number 1 on our list is Forrest Griffin vs. Stephan Bonner. This fight is number 1 on our list for a good reason. The reason is that this match really put MMA into mainstream media. It was even called one of the most exciting fights in UFC history by the fans. The match earned both fighters a spot in UFC history because it was just so epic. Forrest won the first season of the show as a light heavyweight. Even Dana White credited it as the most important fight in UFC history. It was also voted as the greatest fight in UFC history in 2009. The match was aired on national TV on Spike TV. That's all we have time for in today's video. Which one of these fights is your favorite? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed today's video and smash that like button. With that, we'll see you in our next video.